Welcome back to Talkville, the ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast, where every week we go back, way back, and we watch episodes, and then we talk about them. And Tom and Ryan are talking right now. But Tom is in the studio with us this time. It's a rarity. He was in the first 2 episodes of this season, and now he's here. We also have a special guest that's going to come online and talk to us about their let's just say their take on the episode. And so a lot of fun stuff there.
This was a quick one. We put this together yesterday. I said, I'm in town. You want to do it? And we all rallied. So thanks, guys, because this is fun.
Yeah, I love it. Also, if you want to support this podcast, if you'd like, look, we made it to season 5. We're still doing this. And without the patrons, we couldn't do this. So if you want to support us, imagine it being a subscription channel, like a streamer. If you want to give back $5 a month, $10, whatever you want to do, become a patron, support the podcast, patreon.com/talkville, and keep us going, because it's up to you. Also, if you didn't get a chance to call into our hotline, leave a message, question for the episode, do that for future ones. Get ahead of the game.
It's too late right now.
It's too late right now. And it's all in the show's description. You can go to my Instagram, @the_Michael_Rosenbaum, and my link tree. It's got the Talkville Smallville convention in New Jersey, all the cons Tom and I will be at. It's got much more. It's got Cameo and the talkvillepodcast.com, tons of cool merch, and the Inside You online store, tons of Smallville merch and signed stuff. So check that out. And without further ado, let's get into season 5, episode 5. This is Thirst. So the title is Thirst. It aired. Yeah, you know where we're going with this. October 27, 2005, director Paul Shapiro, writers Stephen S. DeKnight, who I love and adore and I think is brilliant, but Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's got to shoot the script he's given.
Oh, he wrote it, Stephen.
Oh, Steve, I'm sorry. Stephen did write it.
Yeah.
So, it's his fault.
Brooke Nevin as Buffy Sanders, Erica Sarah, sorority girl, Angelica Baran as Courtney, Luciana Caro as Karen, and Kara Cabito as sorority girls. Lana's first week of college turns into twilight when she unknowingly becomes a Luthor Corps test subject and threatens the lives of those most close to her.
I was out of town yesterday, and then suddenly the texts start pouring in.
Oh, boy.
Not really pouring, but like suddenly I get from Rosenbaum, hands down the worst episode ever to be aired on television, period. Tom responds, more vampires? Fuck. Bryce responds, poor KRISTIN. And then Michael goes, unreal. I was just like, oh, God.
That's how this all happened.
And I hadn't
yesterday.
watched it yet.
Look, I mean, we had some good ones.
But you couldn't wait to watch it after that.
Oh, my God.
It was,
like, this is...
Yeah, man, we'll get into it, but it starts off bad and it just gets worse.
There are some takeaways that we'll get to.
There's some good moments. There's some good things.
A couple Buffy references, and we have a character from Buffy, and he's one of my favorite actors. So it's
James Marsders. Yeah. So look, this episode opens in the Daily Planet as Chloe interviews for an intern job with the new editor-in-chief, Pauline Kahn, who is my dear friend Carrie Fisher, who, rest in peace, loved that woman, understandably, because Chloe was involved in the death of the previous editor. She plays hard to get and discusses her history with Lionel Luthor pulling strings.
We then cut to you're probably wondering how I got here voiceover as Chloe works on her sorority hit piece in an attempt to land a job at the Daily Planet.
Is there a, you mean Carrie Bradshaw, right? From Sex and the City?
I never saw that show. You watched it?
Oh, it's great.
You're a dude.
I watched it with my wife. Well, we were dating, but it's really funny. You would hate it.
Yeah.
But it's a good show.
I probably hate it. Not because it's a girl show, but I just,
Oh, it was a show that was unlike anything other show. I mean, listen, I don't think I would watch it on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a show that sort of broke through in a way that other shows hadn't done before. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Single women in the city being independent. I don't know. I never watched it.
Well,
then we see the sorority girls carrying out Pizza Boy's dream by inviting him into their hot tub.
Oh, boy.
This quickly turns into a nightmare as they go underwater.
Ryan's favorite scene. I'm calling it.
And bite his head. Vampires are on Smallville. That's what we've all been waiting for.
That scene in the jacuzzi, I just thought was just deplorable. I mean, it's a little
out of context, out of character for the show.
It just was like, oh my gosh, you're insinuating that she's doing, I'm not going to get into it, but that was like, I was like, oh my, I was kind of disgusted because I care about the show, and I was a little bit like, how did they allow this? They didn't need that. And it was just like, I don't know. It was
You know what? It's funny. After talking to our special guest already, she brought up a good point about saying no to things.
Yeah.
And in that scene, you don't have any regular characters.
Yeah, so nobody could do anything except do what they're told.
Perhaps.
Yeah. The next day in Smallville, Lana's packing up the town and getting ready for send-off to Met You. Clark shows up to learn about this for the first time and tries to get her to reconsider Central Kansas A&M, to which Lana denies because they don't offer astronomy, because that is clearly something that Lana has a deep interest about and has talked about through the entire series, astronomy.
Do you know that if you would have asked me what her major was, I wouldn't have guessed that?
I would have said Kung Fu. She's always doing these crazy kicks and jumps and stuff. She's
already got French history down.
You'd think with how many times I've been knocked out, like an EMT, maybe like pre-med.
But she's always been very smart. So I would think like poetry or literature because she's smart.
That would actually track.
Yeah, that would track.
But also, Clark didn't know that she was going to college.
There was a different energy in Clark walking in here, like, so what's shaking?
So you're going to college, huh?
All right.
Well,
I don't know. Have we met?
And then come to college with me.
What is happening on Smallville this week? What's the deal?
We cut back to the Tri-Psi sorority pledge night and learn that they are the richest, the prettiest, and the best, as described to us by Buffy Sanders.
Buffy
Among
again.
the pledgees is the reformed witch herself, Lana Lang.
Wait, Buffy vampire?
Huh. Wait, but Buffy slayed vampires.
I like that we're doing a sort of a vampire episode with James Marsders from Buffy. I was waiting for some kind of hokey punchline.
Well, Lex says something.
He does, and
Marsders kind of just rolls with it. He doesn't.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there was a line earlier where they wanted to reference like a little nod,
for sure.
and I'm sure it was. Thank God it got cut out because
when I did, I brought this up earlier, but when I was on Lucifer, they made a Superman comment. And I remember in playing the character I was playing, just being like, huh? You know what I mean? Like, I don't
stop.
What are you talking about?
Stop it. Over on another campus, Clark is getting a lecture about the Roman Empire. This time, however, it isn't Lex Luthor delivering it. It's Milton Fine. Speak of the devil, Lex Luthor emerges from the shadows as Professor Fine speaks of an evil man controlling history. For context, imagine being a freshman at a state school and all of a sudden Elon Musk walks into your lecture unannounced. That's what this is.
Oh.
After Clark gets saved by the bell, Lex stays after class to grill Milton about his fascination with Luthor Corp projects. Lex threatens his tenure and accuses Clark of stealing private Luthor Corp information. I like these scenes with Milton Fine and Lex Luthor.
These are great, and I'll tell you what I really like about it is because Milton he's checking Lex the whole time, but Lex has the final word.
Yeah.
By not saying anything, just insinuating.
Yeah, and he always...
It's good.
It's the first time that someone else has the upper hand in a way a lot of times. And Milton Fine has this, like, if you're going to do this to me, I'm going to get you back. And he's like, who is this? There's something going on with this guy.
Back in Transylvania, we see the end of Pledge Week at Tri-Psi. And none other than Lana Lang and only her make the cut to join. Yay, she has somewhere to sleep now.
I mean, it's so out of character that she would say yes and join these bimbos.
Well, listen...
She's a classy woman.
She didn't know she was going to college.
So here's the other thing. So where's the meeting before this? They just show up. Like, this is the only time we see it. So they line up and the girls go, okay, you three girls step forward. You're out. Lana steps forward. And she's like, you really want me? And then they just
You're the whole piece.
Then they just like bite her and like throw her downstairs. She doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. It's like, what the?
She was just checking the place out. Like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but ironically, she doesn't have anywhere to sleep because she's a vampire. Anyway, before she can move in, though, the hottest vampires ever complete the initiation by jumping in Lana and turning her into a vampire. Okay, so is the cheesy dialogue just because this is supposed to be Chloe's narration of what's going on? Kind of confused on what her recounting all this and what is actually happening.
Yeah, I don't know why we have to hear Chloe's narration of this whole story.
Well, we have a theory.
We do have a theory. Tom has the theory. Or maybe it was Ryan's theory.
That's Tom's theory.
I had a hope.
I had a hope.
I had a dream that perhaps none of this happened and Chloe just made it up to get a job. But apparently in the actual episode, she claims it's real, but there's no
maybe this whole thing wasn't real. We can only hope.
But
we still saw it with our eyes.
Unfortunately.
It was real. It was real to us, folks. And many of you, I would say...
I didn't see it with my heart.
I'm sure some of you like this episode. I'm sure some people got a real kick out of it. And I don't know what drugs you were on, But I'm glad you had fun with it, and I really, appreciate it.
I mean, the poll has to be on the side of like, this episode was just, everybody was probably like, what?
What is it?
Huh?
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
The next day in Luther Mansion, Lex asks Professor Fine to walk in precisely as he sinks a pool shot. Milton wants to know why he's digging into his past. Lex questions how he's able to swallow everything that Milton is giving him as he learns that Lex is misappropriating funds on campus for a secret experiment.
What would the dean think?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Lex is like, I own the dean.
Yeah.
I hired him. But yeah.
Again, it was kind of a cool scene watching these guys go head to head, but
when you're in a scene and you're trying to hold the upper hand for your character, the idea that you have a loaded gun in the back of your shorts, right? Or your pants. Like you're holding a weapon that they don't know about.
But then they have a jacuzzi.
And then
jacuzzi.
A bazooka?
No,
An Uzi?
Uzi.
But you don't know
I'm
that.
still stuck in the jacuzzi scene
You are.
from the opening of this episode. That's why I said jacuzzi.
She did say
Uzi.
jacuzzi.
That's because I was thinking jacuzzi again. That scene just baffled me.
But we find out later that Milton Fine has a big secret. He's not so afraid of Lex Luthor.
Uzi.
Big Uzi. Over in the dorms, we see a blast from the past as Chloe has erected her wall of weird. Her Karen roommate isn't fond of the interior decorating, though. To Chloe's surprise, she sees Lana sleeping in her room. Not only that, but she's hungover and hiding from the light.
Also, when she gets up, she has her shoes on. Did you notice that?
Well, she had a long night. She just passed out.
It's really hard
To fall asleep with shoes on?
to fall asleep with shoes on. Like that's like fall down blackout.
I've never done that.
A lot of people have not, but I don't think I have.
I don't think.
But like usually,
I'm sure you have.
but usually, no matter how intoxicated you may be, it's like, let me get these shoes off.
Yeah,
And then
this
maybe-
is uncomfortable.
Maybe the rest of the clothes stay on, but the shoes are a thing.
Clark comes by to check on his vampire witch girlfriend who has no recollection of the previous evening.
She plays a good hungover though. It's
Yeah.
it's the sunlight that's hurting her in this moment. It took me a second to realize that.
Or is it her needy ass boyfriend?
Yeah,
No, it's-
probably.
wherever that came from.
Yeah, it's
After getting a waft of Clark's super pheromones, she tries to get freaky. After sensing hesitation, she tells Clark to stop being a needy little bee, puts on sunglasses, and heads out.
just like Red Clark.
Where did those come from?
Yeah, Milton Fine leaves Luthor Corp to go check on the spaceship. After being tailed by Luthor Corp security, he hand spikes the guy through the freaking chest. I mean, boom.
Did you realize he put it through the right side of his chest? Why didn't it go right through the heart?
Yeah, why didn't he do that?
You would just think that you would. Maybe it was
Well, he's an alien. He doesn't know where the heart is, right?
He knows where the heart is.
I don't know if he does.
He's Brainiac.
sounds like a Sunspin song.
Isn't he Brainiac? He does.
Where the heart is.
I like that. That'll be the next title. Lana celebrates with her sisters by tossing back shots and complaining about her emotional boyfriend. After finally feeling like she's fitting in, Lana gets backhanded down a flight of stairs. Even though her body is completely contorted, she's able to snap out of it and make a full recovery.
I didn't care for this scene, just start to finish.
Which one?
We'll talk about it.
I mean, just she's like slamming shots and like howling at the moon. I don't
Oh,
know.
right.
It was like,
It was ridiculous.
and then she's like, "Well, you think drinking's fun? I'm gonna hit you."
Yeah.
it
he
was
made
just,
Daredevil.
it was so goofy. I mean, look, there was great scenes in between that weren't related to the sorority and the you but overall,
I mean, her neck looks broken and her shoulder.
neck-
She did a great job of being contorted.
But I think you're right though. It is like if you ask like a 17-year-old what he hopes college is like, oh man, hot
that's what
vampire
I'm
sorority
That's what
sisters
I'm referring to.
who eat each other and hit each other.
Yeah.
And they do all the things that boys like.
We just
like
got
fighting
hot
and
girls.
Hot girls. They got a jacuzzi
Or an Uzi.
and an Uzi.
I
right.
can't say anything I'm thinking.
Clark and Chloe discuss their concerns for Lana's recent habit of sleeping in. Chloe goes on to share her suspicions of something spooky going on at the sorority. So, in order to see for themselves, they decide to attend an upcoming Halloween party.
I mean, this was kind of funny because she calls Clark and then Clark shows right up. That was kind of, that
was
actually
funny.
because it's always been the opposite
Mhm.
where she turns around and Clark gone. This is like the first time I remember she goes, Clark, I need you. And he's like, pfft. And she's like, whoa, that,
That was fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you like it.
That's what you call fun.
If,
Well, it was the most fun part.
it's Ryan's favorite scene.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing least favorite this time.
Oh God, this is gonna be hard. This is gonna be harder.
Your least favorite scene?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Talkville is brought to you by AG1, our good friends at AG1. What would we do without AG1? I'm tired of taking pills every day, vitamins and this and that. And you have to take so much crap. With AG1, it's a glass of water mixed in with AG1, 1 scoop, tastes delicious, and you're done. Build this into your routine. I'm telling you, I'm more energized. I'm more focused. It's just, it gets me through the day. It really helps me out. Tom, we talk about it ad nauseum, but like, I know that you're an advocate for this.
I just think that if anyone's listening to this and they think, you know what, I just want to feel better. I'm not sure how to start with this. It's so simple. It's so easy on your stomach. It's so good for your body. Like if you're even thinking about it, try this.
Yes. Each serving of AG1 helps deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more. It's a powerful habit that's also powerfully simple. And talk about pre and probiotics. I never took them. And now I used to get anxiety because I had to go to the bathroom or whatever. But when you take pre and probiotics, it really balances everything out. And it's so helpful. I love AG1. If there's one product that we would have to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why we've partnered with them for so long. So if you want to take ownership of your health, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/talkville. That's drinkag1.com/talkville. Check it out.
Chloe and Zero Carlos head to the party to see Lana bumping and grinding with a random guy.
Boy, did they milk this thing.
Oh my God.
I mean, everything Chloe says to him in like their 20 steps is like, what's with the mask?
Yep.
Nice cape.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they got a lot out of that scene. I'll give them the credit for that.
Chloe pulls her aside as Clark goes to snoop through the rooms upstairs. Lana gets mad at Chloe for crashing the party and decides she wants to suck her blood. Chloe calls out for Clark's help, but it's too late.
I have senses that it was an awkward set. Not that everybody was great, but just the scantily clad. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Like people not wearing much clothing.
I think you're
the girls a little over
that
to the top.
everybody just felt like, let's just get through this.
It was kind of like out of character, and
Yeah.
everybody was just sort of like, okay. But a lot of times for Clark, I would use that for him because he was out of his element.
Right.
So, and in some ways, it's helpful.
Clark brings Chloe to the hospital, and the doctors are perplexed, claiming that it's some sort of uncontrollable rabies. Clark sees Professor Fun and tries to tell him that it was a vampire, and the alien professor tells the student that vampires don't exist, and he believes Lex's experiment is to blame. Clark heads to Luther Mansion, pleads with Lex to help him because Chloe is dying. Lex plays dumb until Clark says that Lana is also suffering from it. And I thought that was cool. It's like Lex kind of says, okay. And like,
well, your reaction when Clark finally says Lana and Lex is like Lana, that was like a big turning point. You played.
And
that
was
well.
it a double entendre? Was it sort of like he's, I know that she means so much to you, or is it, you think, for him?
It felt for you.
You think?
Yeah, for me, it felt for Lex. I mean, that's just like when Clark's literally like, "I need your help," because Lana's infected. It's like, oh, Lana's infected. It felt like Lex.
I just don't know what the fascination is with Lana for Lex at this point. I mean, I don't know if it's. I think maybe it's brewing. Maybe there's a little bit, but like it's like, okay, this is Clark's girl, and that's what it is. But he still admires her.
It's getting a little where maybe you thought he was nice to Lana to learn more about Clark, and now you're starting to feel like he has feelings for Lana, but they're why.
Why? And he's not he's not sure. He doesn't know what it is,
Yeah.
but there's something. Lex talks about Buffy's meteor rock, bat-infused origin story until he is interrupted by Lana, who crashes through the ceiling glass.
I mean, great stunt.
Yeah.
Great stunt.
Great stunt. She flies off the second story, knocks out Lex, sending the kryptonite antidote flying towards Clark. This leaves him weak enough to allow Lana to sink her fangs into him immediately after she realizes she has superpowers and starts heat blasting the room. Any memories from this stunt and scene filming, Tom?
I remember asking the question, how can she bite through Clark's skin?
And it was because he was lying next to the kryptonite.
Is that
I
why?
think is what they were going for.
That must have been, I mean, that did
You
happen.
really thought about this, Ryan.
I did.
But I remember being on set being like, huh, what? And then I was like, oh, okay. And I also thought when I was watching this, are we keeping a running count for concussions for Lex? Have we brought this up before?
No. Yes,
No.
we have.
Yeah.
Bryce, sorry to ask
It's
been
been
you
a
to do
lot.
one more thing. But
I've been knocked out probably 7 times.
At least once a season.
More than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was a lot of heavy lifting for Kristen. I thought she did a great job.
She did a great job with what she had, no doubt about it.
Lana brings Clark back to the sorority house to appease the girls she's known for 3 days and kill the guy she's known her whole life. Lana tries to plead for his life, but they say no boys allowed. Having a sudden change of heart, Lana begins fighting with Buffy. Anticlimactically, she uses heat vision to disintegrate her and then scares away the other sisters.
I didn't see this coming. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be, they were queuing it up for like a nice little fight and then
Yeah.
done. That's it. Boom.
So that's your least favorite scene.
Yeah, that's close. It's close. Lana heads back over to Clark and tells him that she wants him to become a vampire and share the same powers she has. She goes in for the bite, but before she can turn him into Super Batman, Clark jabs her with an antidote syringe that he pocketed, saving her and his life.
And later, Clark stops by LuthorCorp to thank Lex for his help. Lex questions Clark about Professor Fine's involvement and warns him that he is obtaining highly classified documents. The shit show concludes with a narration from Chloe letting us know that everything is getting swept under the rug by LuthorCorp. Lana and Chloe are now roommates. Everything is hunky-dory with Clark and Lana, and she finally landed a job at the Daily Planet.
You know, I understand the television series has to be about tension, but when Lex says to Clark that Milton Fine is getting these highly classified information, why wouldn't Clark say, "So what, Lex? What do you have to hide?" Like,
well, he's getting into my personal business.
But like Lex would have, I mean, Clark could have been like, "Well, what's the problem?"
Yeah, if you're not hiding anything, you shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, so they just didn't go there, and that's fine.
They could have. You're right. That would have been interesting. Closing thoughts. Did you understand the LuthorCorp experiment here? Lex was interested in creating vampires, and his test subject was college sorority girls. Is this the actual worst episode ever compared to last season with the exploding baby? Narration through the episode felt like a different show. Normally, the cheesy episode have some sort of PSA behind them. I'm not sure this had any.
I can't say what I'm thinking.
I mean, I think we kind of touched on something that the excuse was that it was Chloe's perspective and her writing this story.
I hope so.
Which could be it.
I mean, how did the sorority girls get infected?
Who knows?
Didn't he save Buffy? She was in a cave, or she was like her. I don't know. He found her in a cave and then revived her.
The article.
Yeah,
she was in an accident of some sort.
And they revived her body.
I think I must have hit the 15 seconds forward on that one.
Probably.
I hit that a few times. I have to admit.
I do that.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I don't need to hear this shit. They're not going to say anything that I give a shit about. I am fast forwarding. You know, it's that little button. It says 10 seconds ahead.
Oh, I'm aware.
You know it too, Ryan?
Oh, people are doing it with this episode.
Yeah. Interesting things of note. Both Al and Miles stated in the DVD commentary that this was perhaps the worst episode they had ever made. Oh, no. Blaming it on both irrational thinking and a need to have a drastically low-cost episode. When Lana takes Clark hostage, Bela Lugosi is dead is played. Bela Lugosi was an actor in Dracula 1931, of course. Milton Fine references Project 1138, likely a reference to George Lucas' film THX 1138.
And Carrie Fisher was in this episode.
Yes. And Thirst is dedicated to the memory of Kimberly Regent, who worked in the art department.
Oh.
God bless her. And we have a very special guest here in this, well, not in the studio, well, in the studios, Tom, of course, but via Riverside or Zoom or whatever you want to call it, we have the lovely, as always, KRISTIN KREUK. KRISTIN, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for doing this, especially on short notice.
Last minute.
This all came together yesterday.
Well, we're family.
Yeah. I haven't seen the episode, so there's that.
According to Michael, don't bother.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'll give you a quick synopsis. Because she can't find a place to stay at school, Lana Lang tries to join a sorority, and turns out they're vampires, and she gets bitten, and she basically gets red kryptonited. That's how I saw it. It's like
it's like this. It's the same.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same thing.
Just wear some tight clothes and be, I don't know, vampy.
There you go.
You know what's
well, thanks for being here. That was great. We'll see you later.
Yes, you're welcome.
I mean, do you remember reading this episode and what were your initial thoughts? I mean, because you probably remember an episode like this, you got to remember going, oh shit.
Oh, I think I was angry with this one. I think at this point I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not, it's so objectifying. There's no point to it except for to, you know, give me excuse to wear like a super tight outfit. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I think at this point I had become quite frustrated with this trope of ours. And I wasn't easy on this episode. I think I made it really difficult for people.
Well, yeah, I think one of your, I think what I saw, one of the easiest reactions and most honest reactions I've ever seen you play is when the sorority girls go, they kick out the other two girls and they go, Lana, you made it in. And you're like, me?
Get me out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to be here at all. Like, that was very timely, that reaction.
You know
I don't
what,
want to
though?
be here.
The thing that's most frustrating to me is, besides Kristen having to do this, is for her character would never do this. Her character would never join the sorority. And so it makes not only no sense for Kristen, but like her character.
Yes.
It's like, what am I doing here?
But that was, I think that's why it started to get frustrating, is that there was never even a good excuse for it anymore. It was just, we're just going to do this now because we want to have an episode of filler and fun. And it's going to make no sense.
Yeah.
You're just going to do it. And
our producer Bryce mentioned that he did some deep diving, and it seems like it was going for a Halloween episode, which in the past we've seen as well. But yeah, this was a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, you committed, you gave it your all, and it was like there's nothing else you could have done.
No.
But it was definitely like, oh my God, what are we doing?
I mean, there were funny moments because those vampire teeth really make you lisp. So all of the lines are like, so I don't know who I was coming after, but I was lisping the whole time. But you're supposed to be scary and threatening, but no.
Would you stop in the middle of it and just laugh when you were lisping?
Yes.
Did they have you ADR and redo the dialogue?
Oh, I'm sure I did. Yeah, I don't remember doing it, but I know that I was lisping. There was no way I couldn't. I kept having the teeth in the way of my tongue.
I think I want to suck your blood.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
And by the way, I talked to Tom and Ryan about this before we even got on the air, but talk about gratuitous. In the jacuzzi scene in the beginning, it's like we actually assume that these girls are giving this young guy.
They definitely bite him in the knee or the toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But you're like, are they really showing this on Smallville? Are they really insinuating that this is, it was one of those episodes where you're like, what, where are we?
Well,
we're
Ryan,
in college now.
Ryan, you brought it up. It was just so out of format. You used a better word. Just, they had Chloe's like Carrie Bradshaw all of a sudden.
It was Sex in the City.
Yeah.
But with vampires.
Yeah.
And also Buffy?
I guess. But also,
there's a lot of Buffy references in it.
But Ryan also said, Kristen, that maybe none of it was real, and it was all Chloe's writing and her imagination and her like storytelling for the paper, for the Daily Planet.
I mean, that would be interesting, but they didn't. Did they imply that?
I wanted to think that, but Chloe actually says to Carrie Fisher's character, this really happened. They're not vampires. It was that they were taken over by this LexCorp disease.
Right.
So
yeah.
Then that kind of, because I was like, maybe this is just a figment of Chloe's imagination and she's writing fodder to get a job. But
yeah. Did you get to meet Carrie Fisher, by the way?
No, I never met any of any of our really, really big guest stars. Really, I never met any of them.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So all you remember is you didn't like this episode. You fought tooth and nail.
I think I fought. I fought to change this episode, which didn't really get me very far. But yeah. It was a tough one for me. And maybe it wasn't just this episode though. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't think there are any more for me after this. Maybe there's one thing I have with you, Michael, later, like season 7, maybe. But
yeah.
I feel like this is the end of the sexy Lana's.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you do?
So maybe it was effective what you said.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, let me ask you, what do you do when they've shut you down and this is the episode that is going to air, that this is what you're going to portray? Do you just have to put your mind get your mind in a certain place and just say, I'm just going to commit and do this?
I didn't do stuff. I said no on set. I made it challenging. I didn't make it easy. I think Yeah, I think it was this episode.
Yeah, but
I'm
also
pretty
like
sure.
working with you for so many years, you're always trying to make things work. What I think you probably did, and this is my opinion, is you just said no. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to get away with that with me, and you stood up for yourself. And then they just had to come up with better ideas because you're one of the easiest people to work with in the world. You justify a lot of crazy things. You know, we've talked about this before. Like you're not a difficult person, so I don't know. I'm sticking up for you because we have already talked.
Well,
about
it's not even it isn't even it's funny. We just did a convention and like Michael and Laura and Erica and one of the things we talked was what would you tell your younger version of yourself on the show? They asked us, and I was like, it's okay to say no. And that's what this was for me. It was a learning process. And you guys are season 5, right? Season 5, I was learning that I could say no. And it meant there would be conflict. It didn't mean that it was easy, but I could draw boundaries. And they were justified boundaries. Like, I think I had learned by then that what we were talking about here is this a justified story? Like, is there any reason why this is happening? Any reason at all that makes sense? And there really wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things about Smallville and episodic television a lot of times is you get the script and you shoot in 2 days later. And the opportunity for dialogue is very minimal. When I was on Lucifer, Tom Ellis and Joe and Ildy, who ran the show, they were like talking all the time about everything. And it was very kind of cool to watch how no one was scared of anyone's dialogue and they were very much in tune. And they also shot on the lot in LA and they produced it there so they could walk over and talk to each other.
What sucks about that is it's just another wrench that, you know, is kind of thrown into it all where you're just like, as an actor, especially when you're doing episodics, 22 episodes, you don't want to like be so involved. You want to let them do their thing. But when an episode like this comes up and it just kind of jolts you and surprises you, it forces you to kind of just go, hey, am I going to just suck it up, learn the dialogue and do it? Or am I going to fight a little bit and let them know that this isn't okay and we're not going to do this again? And that's what you did.
Yeah. And I think you're right that it is that balance. It's like sometimes, most of the time, this is my job and these are the things that I'm going to say and I'm going to do my best to make this work. And then there are the rare occasions where it's like, you know, unless you're a producer on a show, but there are rare occasions where you're like, this, I have to fight for this. This is something I have to fight for.
Yeah.
And this was one of those episodes. And it doesn't mean I didn't have some fun. I mean, wasn't this the one where I was like in the Luther mansion, like on top of the railing?
Yeah.
Isn't this?
You jumped down and I can tell that you actually did it. I could see where they took the wires away. You jumped down on Clark and Lex.
Yes. Like, there's just fun things. Like, it's not like I didn't get to do fun stuff in the episode. It's just like some of the other things.
Couple of moments that you were just like, not doing that.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember the director, Paul Shapiro. I vaguely remember him. Do you remember him?
Oh, I remember. I feel like I've worked with him on something else. Yes,
Really?
I have. I did. Yes, I've worked with him multiple times.
Did he bring it up? Like, oh, remember that?
He's like, oh,
no, because I didn't know that he directed this episode.
And he wasn't going to bring it up.
No, he was like, I don't really believe I should tell her that we worked together before.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I think we worked together on Smallville. I don't remember on which episode. It was one of the 167 episodes that you did, Kristen. Well, listen, we appreciate you coming on again, and it's just fun to hear your perspective. And
we could talk to you all day, but we're not going to bug you.
Yeah, we just wanted to get you on here, and like it's understandable because it's like an episode that you watch and you go, "What the hell?" But then, as an actor, kind of thrusted into this situation and having to do all these things, it makes it a lot more difficult. And you know, I'll speak. I know Tom would speak up that you're the easiest person to work with. You never put up a fight. You're always laid back. But when you don't like something, something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I hope so.
I think so. All right. Well, we love you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Sorry I don't have more.
No, we loved it. This was great.
Okay. Don't feel like you have to go watch the episode now.
No, don't go watch it.
I won't. I'm not going to.
All right, I'll see you soon. Talkville is brought to you by Policygenius. I don't know how many times we've talked about this, Tom, how important it is to have life insurance for your family, especially if something happens and you go, dealing with death is not a fun thing. And you want your family to be taken care of and not have to deal with a lot of the crap that you have to deal with. 40% of people with life insurance wish they'd have gotten their policy at a younger age. Policygenius helps you get the life insurance you need fast so you can get on with your life. Tom, I talk to you about all the time. How rest assured are you? How do you feel having Policygenius or a life insurance?
Well, it's funny just listening to you say that. Maybe it's important unless you don't think it's important. And that's what we're here to tell you, is that it is important. It's very important.
It is important. It's important. Your family's important. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams.
Policygenius lets you compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price.
Their expert licensed support team is your advocate at every step of the Their expert licensed support team is your advocate at every step of the process, answering questions, handling paperwork, and helping you make decisions with confidence.
It's not just expenses you need to be covered for. Your loved ones could inherit your debt.
Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Policygenius gives you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Don't put off life insurance. Make it easy with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. We've got a wonderful guest. He's a patron. He's so supportive of both Inside of You and Talkville podcast. This is our main man, thick and thin. We love him. This is Raj.
Yeah.
Raj, what's up, buddy?
Sorry, let me pause this terrible episode of a show that I had on the background as I was getting ready to get in here with you guys.
What episode was it, Raj?
Oh, it was the episode Thirst, which
makes no sense.
Not quite sure.
What when you watched this episode, what was your initial feeling after watching it?
My initial feeling when watching it was, why did I like this show this much when I was a kid? I was struggling to see how you stick with the show.
Quite visual.
Granted, you go back and you can find some of the more positive things because you're looking for positives. But after the first watch, I was like, this poor KRISTIN KREUK on what they made her do throughout this entire episode.
What we said right before we got you on here is both Al and Miles stated in the DVD commentary that it was perhaps the worst episode they had ever made. And so I think you have a combination of, one, the network needing a Halloween episode, B, trying to make it sexy and gratuitous and ridiculous, 3, none of it made sense, 4, it wasn't anything like that Smallville was.
The structure was off completely. We got voiceovers.
I listened to the commentary. So part of my prep to talk to you guys about this was listening to their commentary at that time. And Miles they all say, right? It was Miles, Al, Steven DeKnight who wrote it. And I forgot.
Paul Shapiro directed it.
It may have been Paul. But anyway, Miles says that upon watching the first cut of the episode, because this is like the final cut, that it was so bad that he was depressed for hours after watching the episode.
The other thing is, think about this. We just spoke to KRISTIN. She's also a guest on this same episode. And she talked about things not being right and having to stand up for herself on set. And now that we're hearing the commentary that these guys knew at the time this was a bad episode, but they're trying to get the actors to do this stuff that's out of character. So it just reaffirms what KRISTIN was saying, is you got to stand up for your character and yourself, because these guys are literally just trying to throw shit down a hallway.
Yeah.
And it sounded like they tried to redeem it, right? Like that whole, the bookends, getting Carrie Fisher to kind of play that, the editor character, bringing in the Daily Planet, that seemed all to be after the fact to just make the episode better than what they first saw.
Yeah, if you take out the sorority girls, it's actually not so bad.
That's exactly what I thought, right? If you watch the episode, with your first question, you watch the episode and you're like, what did I just watch? That was a really, really bad episode.
It's like you fart and you think you shit yourself. And then you really have to take your pants off after to check to see if you actually shit yourself. And you realize you did.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
And you knew better.
It's like
and you knew better than to fart when you just ate chili. You knew
The ends
better.
of the episode are
That's
really
the biggest-
good. The middle parts with Lex and Milton Fine are really good.
Yeah.
For the most part, besides the Milton Fine scenes when he's dealing with the vampire stuff. But there's stuff in there was just like really good that stands alone as an episode that's 15 minutes long.
Well, Raj, you've been very supportive. We really appreciate you as a friend and as a patron. But what do you think? What was it about Smallville besides this episode that made you watch every week and really something you really gravitated towards every week?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was just Superman. Like besides comic books, I wasn't into comic books growing up, but like any kind of visual media besides it. So when I was a kid, like a young kid, I just remember we had VHS tapes of the Max Fleischer cartoons, like the really old 40s cartoons
Oh, wow.
that they had made. And then when you kind of fast forward, I remember watching the old Super Friends show, and I had Superman pajamas. I watched.
We get it. You're a geek. We get it.
But no, I mean, it was really ingrained in like my family too. So I would watch the old George Reeves show with my dad on Nick at Night. So there were, and watch Lois and Clark with my family. So I mean, yeah, you just kind of see like all the things growing up. So when you got to Smallville coming out, and whenever I knew that was going to come out, it was a show that was made for me because I was also in high school. I was about to go to college. It kind of followed my life just in the age group that I kind of sit in.
Yeah.
Is one of the takeaways from the character of Superman, I heard this recently, someone said that they really enjoy characters who do good things, honest things in bad situations. And it seems to be that the history of Superman, that's what he does. In horrible situations, he does good, right things where a lot of people wouldn't. Was that something that resonated with you growing up watching it as sort of not a role model, but as something just
maybe a role model.
Role model?
No, I mean, that's definitely partly it, right? Like part of it, when you're a kid, you're just seeing this person that could do everything, right? So you wish you could fly.
Yeah.
You wish you could have all those powers. But at the same time, when you kind of grow up and you kind of figure out what he is and who he is, he's a guy that kind of sticks by his morals and could do anything he wanted, right? Like he could take over the world. He could take over like everything. He could destroy everything. But in the end, what he does, based on getting raised by good parents, by having good people in his life, that essentially can kind of be the thing that resonates, right? Like being raised well, having good morals, like you can kind of, even if you could do anything in the world, you'll hopefully still make the right choices because that kind of moral background.
Yeah.
And then you take another character who doesn't have it, right? The show really kind of focused in on that kind of family aspect. When you don't have that, what happens, right?
Yeah, obviously with the Luthers. But what was your favorite season?
It's hard to think of the seasons. I've been keeping up with the show. It's been a while since I rewatched, so I can't really remember the seasons after this. But when I think back as a kid, I just remember season 1 kind of going into the beginning of season 2 being the ones that like stuck out. Because rewatching, you see the Freaks of the Week in that format, which I don't remember minding back then because I think it kind of was just I was a big X-Files fan too growing up, right? Mm-hmm. So it was almost like X-Files in Smallville plus this whole Superman thing that I already loved and getting to see it from a different perspective.
That makes sense. And it was a different time. I mean, you got to remember the show started in 2001. So, I mean, it was a different audience and it was different. You were growing up with this. And so it's hard for us, as adults and doing the show now to watch this show. But we certainly appreciate a lot of it. There's a ton of it that we love and we go, wow, this is great stuff. But when people say I shit on the show, it's
well. Also, don't forget, and Raj, you remember it used to air every week. You had to wait to watch it. You couldn't just sit down and watch it whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
And when I think about this show and I think about rewatching it, you think about television now, it's just so different. Like we can make the comments of how it would have been great as like a 10, 13 episode show that just focused on just the big things because that's what television is now. It's hard to say it back then because how television was created, wanting that, that gratification from week to week and having to wait week to week. So it's hard.
Yeah, well, I'm watching a show now called Presumed Innocent. Tom's watching it too with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is we both love it. But it sucks. I gotta wait every week to watch this right now, and it's kind of exciting though. You can't just binge it and be done. You got to wait till the following week, and I kind of miss that in a way. It's both like two-sided. One is like you just want to watch them all now, but it's also being patient and going, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens.
We travel a lot, and I try to like upload my iPad so I have things to watch that may not be available. But I have found that after 2 episodes of anything, it's probably better to watch something else for me.
Take a break.
Because it's just it just starts sort of
there's another show, by the way, you should check out. I only saw the first one, but it's called Woman of the Dead.
Okay. And
it's on Netflix, and I think it's 6 episodes, but it's pretty
Is the first episode called Thirst?
We're going to see you in New Jersey at the Smallville Con, right?
I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm seeing everybody.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
All the other patrons.
We're hoping to make that as fun as possible.
I think it's almost sold out. I mean, you're already in, so I'm not trying to press you on it, but dude, it's legit.
Well, get tickets, folks. You can get on my link tree on Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum. Go to my link tree for New Jersey.
Because we've been to, we've both been to different and the same cons in the last couple months. There's a lot of people going, and I'm not even just promoting it. I'm just telling the truth.
I love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping to get I know we're going to do a Smallville Nights, you and I, but I hope we could do some event maybe Friday night or something where it's like cocktails or something where we could just
cocktails with Raj.
Cocktails with Raj.
Yeah, why don't you call it Cocktails with Raj?
Or Cocks with Raj.
Nobody will show up, right? Maybe Ryan will show up and we'll see.
I'm trying to get Ryan to go. I think Ryan will have a blast. Maybe Ryan, I'll sneak you in.
Cocktails with Raj and Ryan.
It'd be great.
Karaoke.
Yeah,
karaoke.
Well, I'll bring a tux and I'll be like a bartender. And then
we love you, Raj. Nice. We really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Enjoy the rest of the review.
This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Betterhelp is so important to me. It's so important to so many others out there. Ryan, it's something that I believe strongly in. They've been our sponsor for a long time, and therapy truly helps, and you should give it a shot. Look, does social media make it seem like everyone else is living this fabulous, amazing life while yours is not quite that? Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy from BetterHelp can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. Therapy from BetterHelp can help every single one of us. If you are thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I think that's what's great about it. If you're not vibing with someone, you change it. There's no questions asked.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/talkville today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/talkville.
Here we go. It's time for the hotline. We're going to start with patron privilege. This is Karen M. We love our Karen M. Karen, what do you got for us, Karen?
G'day, guys. Karen Apple from Manjimup with a question for Season 5 Thirst. This episode was so much fun. It was great. It had Buffy references, Carlos in a cape, everyone wearing black, Carrie Fisher. So, Tom, when Lana was moving in for her vampire bite, were you secretly cringing or giggling to yourself? Thanks. Bye.
We love you. Thanks for loving this episode.
Thank you for being so Australian about this episode.
And so lovely.
Carrie Fisher.
I don't remember doing it,
Fisher.
But it was, again, so much of this episode was out of character for the series. And in that moment, Lana being so out of character, that's what I think I probably played into of like, whoa, this isn't you. You're not yourself, which... it's always awkward with someone when they're not being themselves.
That makes sense. Here's Kristen B. Kristen, what do you got for us?
This is patron Kristen B from Ohio. Clark gains his heat vision with a hormonal response like we saw in Heat and again in Blank. In the episode Thirst, after Lana bites Clark, we see her gain her heat vision after staring at her own reflection in the mirror. Do you think this narcissistic behavior by Lana is part of her normal character, or is it only brought about by her vampire-like state? Thanks, guys.
I didn't catch that.
I think it's her vampire state.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. That's what did it. I didn't think.
Well, that's her opinion.
I had the same thought though, like because the first thing that came out was the heat vision, and as we know, as Clark has hit puberty, it's sort of the same thing. Also, vampires don't have reflections, so I don't know. That was really out of.
No, it's a different twist.
Well,
it's a different twist, man.
But in this universe, she's saying like, oh, she turned on.
Aren't they really Lexpires? Lexpires can see the reflections. Luther-Pyres.
All right, here's John.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Tom. And hi, Ryan. Go Broncos. This is John calling from Santa Clara, California. Just wanted to see there was an episode 5, season 5, Thirst. In a DVD commentary, the creators, Al and Miles, said the network insisted on a Halloween and Christmas episode this season, and that's why the Halloween episode came about, and it was, as terrible as it was. Just wondering, especially for Michael, what would you have done for a Halloween episode, especially utilizing Carrie Fisher instead of the vampire episode that was created?
Listen, I'm really glad that they.
Podcast fight.
Sorry, Kristen,
Thanks, John.
but I'm really glad that they chose your character and not our characters for the vampire episode.
Could you imagine if Lex was thrown into that with vampires and stuff?
He
And,
joined a fraternity.
He was like the Keanu Reeves character in Dracula.
He's the old guy from old school who comes back and joins the fraternity.
First of all, it just shouldn't have been anything with vampires. Period. That any show would be better than a story
Nothing
about
with
vampires.
bats.
Gee, I mean, this could have been a story about homeless people who turned into zombies. Is better than vampire sorority girls. I don't know. I have no answer for this. John, I love you. I don't know. I don't know what would have been better. Anything would have been better.
You know what? I'll tell you what would have been better.
Tell me.
Is what I've always said, that one character that we didn't really ever get to see on Smallville was Bruce Wayne. And maybe a version of a Batman appears at Halloween. And then you kind of play that, this guy Bruce Wayne just came to town and now there's this bat thing flying around. Like some scary version of that.
Yeah, something.
For Halloween. That would have been.
Or maybe a ghost story. Some kind of ghost story. Somebody dies and they're haunted by an old grandmother who lives in an attic. I don't care.
Yeah, like a
Hi,
flashback
this
to
is
like an old
Catherine calling
farmhouse.
from Southern California.
Hi, Catherine.
My question is for season 5, episode 5, Thirst. Do you guys remember if James Marsters was annoyed about this whole Buffy the Vampire storyline? And also, do you think the storyline would have even happened if he wasn't in the show? Thanks, guys.
I don't know that, but I don't think he was always such a good sport. He didn't really care.
Yeah, he was so professional and mature.
Yeah.
He was
Nothing upset him.
But to your second question, if he wasn't in the episode, I don't think the Buffy things would have happened. I think it was
aimed.
So no and yes are the answers.
Here's Gabe.
Hello, this is Gabe from Philly. This is the first episode of the series to feature the new Daily Planet set, an incredible piece of production value that's beautifully designed. Do you know how long it took to build that set? And you have any good behind-the-scenes stories of working in that space?
Gabe, great question. I don't know, though. Tom?
I don't remember the experience of building them. We had 3 different sound stages, and so things were happening while we were other places. But I do remember one of the things that you don't necessarily see on camera, but in the Kent kitchen especially, everything is almost a third spaced further than everything else than normal so that the camera dolly can move through.
Yeah, it's wider.
And so as you going to Daily Planet, they really took that into account. And as the seasons go on, we do a lot of cool camera tricks and movements in there. And the set design allows us to do that.
That makes sense. Johnny Cash.
Hey, Michael and Tom. This is John from Yorktown, New York. I'm calling for season 5, episode 5, Thirst. My question for Michael. Michael, in this episode, Carrie Fisher is a guest star. Is this where you guys first became friends? And if so, what was your first impression of her? Thanks.
No, my assistant got a call from her assistant one day, and she wanted her daughter, Carrie's daughter, Billy, wanted an autographed picture of Lex Luthor. So I said, that's fine, but you tell Carrie I want a picture of her.
But this is way before this episode.
Way before.
Yeah, years before.
And
yeah.
I said, I want a picture of Carrie in her Return of the Jedi outfit with Jabba the Hutt.
Is it
no, it's in the other room. Oh. And she put, to Michael, blow me, Carrie. And then she started inviting me to her parties, and we became good
You
friends.
took me to one.
Yep. And
Was
then
it
I
awesome?
ended up living at her house. She had these bungalows where like Meryl Streep would stay. And I stayed in one of her bungalows for a couple of months, and she kind of got me out of trouble because I was staying at the Sky Bar and just drinking and not getting the good crowds. And she's like, get the hell out of there. Come live here. And I started writing and reading stuff. And
would she read your stuff and give
yeah.
you? Yeah.
She would read it and she'd say, did this really happen? I go, yeah. She goes, write this. This is great. Write
Cool.
this. And I sold my first pilot based on my upbringing and shit. So yeah, we became close friends. Cat Daddy. Let's see, Cat Daddy.
Hey, this is Cat Daddy from North Carolina. I am calling about episode Thirst. So I've noticed that the show goes very far out of its way to prevent Clark from killing anyone, especially, or even when he's like in like an altered state. But this episode, Lana kills her second person when she's, you know, as they say, not herself. So I just think it's interesting, and I'm curious what you guys think of that kind of choice on the part of the show. Thank you so much.
Well, you
Bye-bye.
can't have Superman or Clark can't kill people.
I came across something, I think it was on Instagram, where somebody was talking about in one of the Superman movies with Henry that he, in order to save everybody else, he kills Zod. And it's like a big moment that Superman chooses to kill. So it made me think, oh, on Smallville, yeah, we kind of tried to make sure Clark never did that, but everybody else seemed to do it.
Yeah, it's okay if everybody else does it, but your hero can't be that guy.
Yeah.
You can't be that guy. Caroline?
Here's Caroline.
Hi, guys. It's Caroline from Victoria, BC. My question is for season 5, episode 5, Thirst. I really liked this episode, and I kind of felt bad in a way for Lana because being a vampire looked like it was really fun for her and the rest of the girls in the sorority. So my question is, did you, in all of your years in Smallville, was there a Freak of the Week type ability / power that you would be really sad to have cured or taken away from you? Thanks.
That's
Bye.
pretty funny. Like,
good question.
Once Lana becomes a vampire, she's doing great in her own mind. And everybody's trying to rain on her parade.
Yeah, but which character would you like to take? Like someone who can switch their powers, or someone who could, like Alicia's character.
Right.
That was a cool power. What did she do? She
could teleport, right?
She could teleport. That's pretty cool.
Wasn't that it? I should know this.
I think so. But what about the guy who could split in half and be two people at the same time?
Oh, JTT?
JTT.
Yeah.
When I farted
Well,
on.
wouldn't Lex want to read people's minds? Because I feel like he's always trying to figure out what people are thinking and what they know.
Oh, yeah. That would be a good one, too.
Yeah.
Text, Felicia B. Have you ever watched Buffy, and do you enjoy vampire movies, TV shows? I watched one episode of Buffy, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't continue. It's not my kind of show. Did you guys watch Buffy?
I was aware of it, but I will say I was at the Chateau Marmont the first year of Smallville. I don't know why I was there, but we were already shooting, and David Boreanaz walks up to me, and he goes, "Hey, man," introduced himself, and he goes, "I saw some of your show." I think he was so cool to me and so nice that it kind of set a tone like, oh, you can be nice in this industry too. You don't have to be a jerk or ignore everybody. And last year I saw him 20 years later at a con, and I brought it up to him, and he goes, "I don't remember that at all." Like, and he's still so cool. He goes, "I don't remember that." I'm like, well, it meant a lot to me, and I just want to say thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Will, I know you said you guys basically get the scripts and shoot and don't have a lot of time to reflect on the content of the episodes when you're in it. But do you remember thinking, what the F are we doing during the shooting of this one? I didn't, because I didn't really read scripts. I just read my parts, which didn't make, the other parts didn't make any sense to me anyway, so I didn't need to know. So I didn't realize how much Kristen was probably suffering during this episode. But, when I heard that it was a vampire episode, I think I was just like, oh boy, how is this going to turn out?
Well, after I watched this episode, I was thinking, Clark's not in it much. He's in like maybe 3 locations. It was probably 3 days. And I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm directing the next episode. There's something about me not being in this episode where I have to believe that in shooting it, I was kind of like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? Look at what Kristen's doing. This is interesting. I don't know what's happening. So you
didn't really know what you were about to see.
Right. And I have to assume I really enjoyed it because I was probably doing something else.
Imagine me watching this for the first time yesterday or the day before. I mean, it was just jarring. It was absolutely jarring. I had no idea what was going to happen.
You don't have to answer this, but yesterday when I was like, "Hey, you guys want to do a podcast tomorrow?" Of course, we have to watch.
Then I was like, "Shit, I have."
Bryce
to watch
is already ahead of it. I don't know how you're ahead of it, but you and I kind of watched it the day before. What did you do? Like, you don't have to answer this, but did you like open your phone? Did you go down to your theater? Like,
no, I watched it on my computer. I have a big screen.
And you were just like, "What?"
And I started to watch it, and the vampire showed up in the jacuzzi scene, and I immediately just went. I think I yelled the F word, and then my assistant Jess kind of goes, "What?" And I go, "This isn't going to be good." Patar, Chloe has fully assumed the role of sidekick to Clark Kent. Do you think she brings the yin to his yang? Yeah.
I think it's fun.
I think so. Crystal, what sort of justice would you like brought to Lana's character? I feel like they've thrown a lot at her in the last couple seasons. Just more maturity, more just class. Because I think she is classy, but like sometimes they declass her. She gets declassified. I don't know.
Listen, it's hard to come up with these ideas. I mean, these writers spend weeks in a room coming up with this stuff. And
did they spend weeks in a room coming up with this?
Maybe not this one. But
I hear you. I mean, look.
Listen, at the end of the day, we have that one scene where Clark and Lana are walking, and it's, I don't remember anything except the warmth of your heart. That was redeeming. I like that scene.
Yeah.
They're very forgiving to each other. And that would have been a good moment for Clark to say, "This is the second person you've killed." just to let you know.
All right, that brings us to the Rose and Bomb rating system. We're gonna try something different this week. For one episode, we're gonna do Ryan's least favorite scene, because there aren't really any great scenes, although there are Milton Find Lex Luthor scenes. So it'd be easier to pick out the best scene than it would be
more
the
humorous
least favorite.
for sure.
So we're going to do something a little more humorous. It's Ryan's least favorite scene. Ryan,
you know who's not going to like this is our friend from Australia who called in.
Yeah, she liked it. Karen M.
You want to do the bombs first?
I'm going to give it a 0.5.
You're going to give it half a rose?
Yeah.
Or half a bomb?
Half a rose. I mean, I like.
I wish this face was audible.
Yeah.
After what we just talked about, you're going to give us a half a rose. Okay.
I'm not saying I enjoyed watching it.
How do you not enjoy watching something and still give it a half rose?
Because like I was just kept waiting for it to get better. And listen,
it's like saying, "Hey, did you like that movie?" No.
Just know.
What do you give it? Half a rose.
I just know how hard it is to even make something like this. So I have to give it some credit. I can't.
Ryan.
2 bombs.
Wow. First ever.
I think this is. I think
if I have to, I gotta start somewhere.
Have I ever given 3 bombs?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone has. I know I haven't.
No.
I think this is just. I gotta give. This is the one for me. I think this is the 3 bomb.
So this is like if someone said to you, "What's the one episode of Smallville to never watch?" You'd say Thirst.
Probably say Thirst.
Yeah, this doesn't fall under the Tom template of if someone had never seen Smallville before, what I said in this episode.
Yeah,
but by no stretch does it.
Am I going to wait for something worse? I'm going to have to go.
I mean, you have all those.
The thing is, there's some scenes in between that are okay, but overall, this episode is a 3 bomb. I'm going to give it 3 bombs. Wow. I think this is the worst.
But the
episode
Milton Find stuff is good.
I just think the vampire story is the A story, and it's so bad that it's 3 bombs. I have to agree with Miles and Al. They said this is the worst episode. I'm going to agree with them. This is the worst episode I've ever seen. Maybe on television. Maybe in the history of television. Go ahead, Ryan.
Death and save count.
Oh, death and save count.
We're not to your worst scene yet?
3 dead. Buffy gets blasted. Pizza guy gets bitten. Security guard gets poked. 3 saved. Clark.
Do we know that
Lana
the pizza guy dies though? Maybe he turns into a vampire.
According to Bryce, and he does. He does it.
I'm gonna say if you get bit on the penis, you die.
You die. You want to die.
You want to die. Bit?
You want to die if you get bit on the penis.
It's a guess. They didn't show it.
5 episodes, 19 dead, 11 saved. Series 155 dead, 158 saved. Ryan's least favorite scene.
Oh, God,
for the first time ever, Ryan's least favorite scene.
Least favorite episode and choosing least favorite scene.
Yes.
Good timing. Good idea, Bryce.
Okay, hold on. I
can't see it.
Don't look at it.
I'm not.
I
can't see that.
When I was going through, I kept labeling things, so I had 5, but I'm only going to do 3.
Jesus.
I love that it's a vampire episode. I'm staring at the Lost Boys signed VHS.
Oh yeah, and also Michael's Dracula.
Yeah, the whole time.
All right.
I feel kind of bad for giving it 3 bombs, but it was just awful. It was horseshit.
Well, remember, Al Miles said the same, so you're in good company.
I just think
and Kristen was on here.
I think I think it's horseshit. It's horseshit.
Okay. All right. Scene 1 where they turn Lana into a sorority girl.
Pretty lousy.
Listen, it was a bad idea, but it was a good scene.
Hey, this is Ryan's least favorite scenes, not yours. Ryan?
Scene 2 where they do Vampire Fight Club.
What happens there?
They just hit Lana and she goes flying over
down
the
stairs and she lands in an awkward position.
Okay. Pretty shitty.
And I'm going to keep it in the sorority house. I'm going to say scene 3 is Lana and Buffy's final fight.
You didn't pick the hot tub.
Yeah, I thought for sure the hot tub was going to get picked.
No, it's just no.
You liked
it? It was just putrid.
I liked it. No,
I'm gonna say
I was on board until the.
I'm gonna say
until
the fight where Lana's contorted on the ground.
So that's 2. What was the third one?
2.
I'm sorry, I was already.
It was the final fight with Buffy where she gets vaporized.
Listen, they're all bad ideas, but they're not bad scenes. I'm gonna say number 1, initiation, because I think that was so out of character.
I thought 2.
Yes.
Damn it.
Dude, that was terrible.
You have horrible taste in a good way.
Yeah.
You
when she got contorted,
stuff.
it didn't even work. It was like
it felt like it was out of a bad like Skinamax movie.
Yeah, it was just brutal, bro. Brutal.
Is there such thing?
All right,
that was an oxymoron.
You know, the great thing about this episode is it's over. We're done with it. And it gets better from here. It can't go much worse, guys. This is going to get better. We got some great shows coming. That's it for the episode. Stick around next week as we open things up and talk about season 5 episode Exposed, episode 6 of season 5. Let's take the discussion online. Let us know your thoughts on the episode over on our socials at Talkville Podcast or Talkville Pod. Show the support, please, by supporting us so we continue the show. Patreon.com/Talkville. And if you want more info like merch from the show, our hotline number, you can find in the description. We love you. And remember, folks,
always hold on to Smallville.
And we can't forget our patrons. Of course, without you guys, where would we be? Period. Here are the top tiers. Go to patreon.com/Talkville and become a patron now. Leanne P, Raj C, Santiago M, Thomas Tom Turner, Shane W, Sophie M, Betsy D, Abby P, Ray, Hadada, Karen Apple M, 99 more, Lalani N, Brett G, always hold on to Smallville, Esteban G, Charlie T, Garrett W, Bob K, Tom N.
There you go with Jason W, Osama A, Glinda W. I'm sure you like
Glinda the Good Witch.
What's the one on
Glinda the Good Witch?
Yeah, Glinda the Good Witch.
Yep.
Thank you. Lana rhymes with W. Nancy D, Brian G, YVR Grips, Anna M, Amanda R, Teddy 127, Michael P, Ryan R, Jordan M, Randy B, Craig G, Jor-El, Heather and Greg, I made Talkville Say Butts, Brian H, Eric K, Karen B, Darth Achilles,
Kristen B,
Finky,
Kristen B,
Kristen B. Thank you very much. Kristen B, awesome. Darth Achilles, Finky, early is on time. Miss Clark Kent, always a funny one. Damn, who's that? Jeanette E, Deadvid, General Zod, Theodore, Jam and J, Doug R, Tommy Z Boston 68, Ken the Limerick guy is always very helpful. Corey L, Mr. Home Arcade, Jesse C, Claire M, D Brown, Kara Nira M, Jules M, Eldon Supremo, Leslie V, Brian P, Mick Burtz, Ginger Moose, please remember Janice from North Carolina, Christoph S, Michelle M, and Amanda Lynn.
And don't forget Jessica B, Sebastian F, Wolfie, Dak Flando, Matthew and Lincoln B, Breyer, Charlene A, Marion Louise L, C, Geo, Cindy C, Nikki L, Shannon Fofan, and Tina E, Matt Rick, Jen T, Randy S, Cassie B, Brad A, Felicia R, Danny Mo Mirabel, J.S., Mary K, Rachel D, Stephen Nate, Danger, when you're rich, you aren't crazy, you're eccentric, Rosenbaum fan, Sammy Sharman, Carrie Ann, the Alexander Castle, Daryl E, Jenny B76, Anna B, Monica T, Jeffrey K, Pip Kenobi, Katya C, previously on Smallville, Matt C, Keith B, Major Paradox, Cookie K, Justin Patreon, Saint of Smallville, Libertaria, Danny Z from Cleveland, Biagio C, Cal L, 38, Felicia B, Lady J, the Salty Ham, Murphy C, David L.
Well done with Madison H, Mika J, Tori H, JD Turkleton, Kelowna A. Remember Kelowna in Canada?
Yeah, the costumes.
R.
Her name was Kelowna. Sarah, not Sarah Kelowna. Kath Kelowna.
There you go. The Wicked Stepdad. I wonder what that means. My Pups, Lex, Shelby, and Kara. Natalia, Dr. JCA, Red Boobler A, Dr. G, Dominic D, Brandon C, Ned L, Flirtatious B, Persix, Kurgan K, Go Hanker. Am I saying something I don't want to say with that?
Probably.
Naaman L, Gorgeous TV, Smallville for Life, and Bobby B. Thank you guys.
Zeb R, if you didn't say it, but I think you did. But yes, you guys are the best. Thank you for the love and the support, and we couldn't do it without you. And we'll see you next week.